Good morning, just got to hospital. Today is day 1 on my ICU rotation.
Staring out the window, reaching for a North Star, waiting just to wake up from this nightmare where you could be right back in my arms.
Good evening. So I survived my first day in the ICU. Basically what happened is myself and the resident showed up early around 7:30, and we had about an hour to read up on all the patients, check all their labs, do physical exams, speak to their nurse, and sort of figure out what the heck is going on. And then an hour later, our attending came in and we do group rounds. So it's like med student, resident, ICU doctor, nurse, the bedside nurse, and then the dietitian and the pharmacist, and all of us kind of walk as this posse, and we circulate from room to room, and in each room we talk about the patient and the plan. And then other people that are sometimes there and sometimes weigh in is social work and then physiotherapy. My role as the medical student was really to present the patient and talk about them big picture wise, and then the nurse will also present and they'll sort of talk about like more detailed stuff. And then at the end, the med student or the resident tries to come up with a plan, like, oh, maybe we should extubate, or maybe we should change the antibiotics, or maybe we should send like a HIT like workup. And then the attending kind of has the final call. So it's a very like collaborative, collegial environment. Alrighty, it is week 2 of ICU. I really like the attending that is on this week, so super excited for all the things I'm gonna learn. I'm still confused. It's okay, it's all part of the process. So the ICU attending that I am with this week is absolutely amazing. She is my future goals. I learned so much. She's just totally enthusiastic about everything she does, and she just wants to share her knowledge, and her teaching style is just, I don't know, it's very learner-centered. My notes are a little messy, but we had a really good talk on shock and vasopressors, which I feel like I kind of finally understand how vasopressors work. That was something that was a learning goal for this rotation. Hello! So we are officially 1.5 weeks into the ICU rotation, and I can say that I finally kind of understand the language in the ICU, which was honestly the biggest battle. They use so many abbreviations, and they use very similar terms to describe different things. So yeah, the first few days was me just trying to understand what the heck they were even talking about, let alone understand any of the medicine that was going on. One thing I got really confused about is they talk about pressure support. So people are talking blah blah blah, things are going really fast, and then they talk about their pressure support, which is about their lungs, but then they're also talking about their pressors, which is for their blood pressure, and I don't know why, but I found that like really confusing. And then there's just all these abbreviations that the nurses rattle off for a bunch of medications. They'll be like, they're on norepinephrine, and they're on lethal fentanyl and propofol, and you're like, I don't even quite remember what these drugs do, let alone like what these numbers mean in terms of like translating that into my brain to understand, is this patient really sick, or are they like pretty close to being done in the ICU and discharged to the ward. So that's been fun. Anyways, I have a consult to go see, so I will check back in a little bit. Alrighty, done for the day! So today I got asked if I'm post-call. I think it's because I look like shit. I am not post-call, I'm just really tired. I just put in 2 central lines, oh my god. Basically, these central lines were for COVID patients, so we had to wear all the normal COVID PPE. Central lines, I think, are really freaky because you're in someone's neck, you're in their neck, and you use this ultrasound, but ultrasound's like kind of hard to see like what's going on, and you're putting a needle into their internal jugular vein. Now, right beside the jugular, like this, right over here is the carotid artery, the artery that feeds your brain. So, you're putting a needle in there and you're like, well, hopefully I don't hit the carotid. Put in another central line today. It was a total success. Feeling pretty good about that. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Patient's jugular was huge. So tonight I am chilling and watching some very much needed Disney. I'm going to watch the new movie Encanto. I think I am getting way too used to the high mortality rate in the ICU. Today, I go for lunch, so I'm gone for like half an hour, and then one of the nurses comes up to me to tell me about a patient that I'm looking after, and she says he passed. And it's hard to read people's expressions with the masks on, and my eyes just about bugged out of my head because this patient I thought was doing well. We just extubated him, and I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, like 20 minutes ago. And I was like, huh? Trying to process, not really vocalizing my thoughts. And she's like, yeah, he passed his swallowing test, which is a thing we do post extubation. We check that they can swallow so they don't like choke and aspirate and cause a pneumonia. But I thought she had come to tell me that he died. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, kind of a wake-up call, but it feels like every single day somebody dies in ICU, which is, I think, just a reality of like critical care medicine. When you're taking care of the sickest people in the hospital, you're bound to have a high mortality rate, but yeah.
Cold trauma level 2, ETA 4 minutes.
Hello, so today's Saturday. One of the ICU patients that I have been helping take care of is going to the operating room for a very big procedure. And depending on which direction my residency applications go in, this may be my only opportunity in my life to see this specific procedure under these specific conditions. So I'm very excited to have the opportunity to witness this. And yeah, totally worth it to go in on a Saturday, even though it's like post-carms and I'm not here to impress anybody. So I'm looking forward to it and very excited. So I made it to the hospital, I'm all changed, and now I am just waiting for everything to get moving. I feel like a surprising amount of being a med student is literally just waiting for preceptors to show up, waiting for things to start, waiting to be called for random opportunities that are good for learning. So yeah, it's busy, but there are moments where you just sit around and wait for hours. Today is Monday. It is my last week on ICU and also my last week of clinical rotations as a medical student. So this week we have a really big team on ICU, which is nice to split the workload. And it's just like a little more social. Last week I was completely by myself as the only learner, which was okay. I learned a lot, but it's nice to kind of be able to relax a little more this time. Hello, I am in bed. What a surprise. We have reached the end of my 4 weeks in ICU, and I cannot recommend this rotation highly enough. I had such a great time. I think I might be a little biased because this was my post-carms elective. Basically what this means is, in 4th year, you do all of these electives and you try to impress people so that they want you to join them for residency or they're willing to write you a really strong reference letter. But in terms of the timeline, these 4 weeks fell during a time where it would have been too late to get reference letters. So I feel like that just took so much pressure off of me. Not that I slacked off, but I could just show up and do what I wanted, and I didn't have to feel like psychologically stressed or feel like I have to be on or feel like I have to get everything right. So that was really nice. That might have been why I enjoyed it so much. But critical care, you see some amazing, amazing stuff. There were some days where I was just like, this feels like a Grey's Anatomy episode, or like I'm on House. Just because of the stuff that we were seeing, and I felt like I got a lot more of that sort of craziness compared to other core rotations that I did. But also it's just like, it's really good medicine, and it's good to kind of see what happens when we take care of patients that are straddling life and death. And I think it also, like for me at least, was kind of philosophically stimulating, just because you see so much death and dying, and you sit in on so many conversations about end of life and people's values, and I think it's very natural to kind of stop and reflect on your own life and think, what is meaningful to me and what do I consider quality of life, and sort of extend that thinking to your loved ones. So overall, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Anyways, next steps for me is I have CARMS interviews, so residency interviews. They're all across the country, but they will be over Zoom just because COVID is still kind of happening and travel is being limited. but I'm feeling nervous, very, very nervous, but you know, I hope that I'm able to find a program that's a good fit for me, and I hope that I can go out there and show them my personality. And then after that, it's match day. Anyways, sorry for the long outro. Thank you for your patience during this time as I've put videos on private and sort of shut down different things on social media. I'm looking forward to hopefully creating more stuff. Bye!